Hello. uh, this is fun. The whole thing is a shambles. The Bunn is by himself for the moment. I believe Nick Hill is going to be popping in with us in a moment. Um, but yeah, figuring it out. I've never really had to set this part up before. So, oh, okay, bandless more or less. Da, 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 da. Great. So some of it is working. Apologies. I'm going to um, get it all sorted here. But yeah, today's episode. I think Stephen might be joining us as well. Not exactly sure. Nick is on the way. He's getting home from work late. Um, and yeah, all that stuff is happening. I'm filling in the info here because, whatchamacallit, unlisted or private. Bam. Save. Great. So I'm moving everything over to this stream because for some reason, I don't know, everything just went wrong. I've never had to set up the stream myself. So you'd think the YouTube tutorials and all of that would make sense, but yeah, it wasn't making any sense. And I just couldn't, no matter what I did, I couldn't get it to work. So, yeah, we are channel content. We are going to sort it out. Sorry, bear with me here. I'm still doing some final tweaks to fix the show. Bam, downloads, desktop, max, res, default. All right, save. Okay. Hello. Okay, we got it. We got it going on here. Sort of. Apologies, but thank you for your patience and thank you for moving over to this other stream. Cosman, Renato. I am well. How are you, Renato? I hope all is good with all of you guys. Yeah, I don't know how much of you caught while I was trying to fix all this, but Nick is probably still in traffic on his way. And Stephen Barton is going to be joining the stream with us today. Maybe or maybe not. But they're going to be jumping in as they show up because none of them are home yet. They're all working or whatever the case may be. But yeah, we're going to do today's show no matter what. I just had some issues linking the restream thing to the YouTube created stream, and everything I tried that I followed all the guides and it just wasn't taking. Super fun. Anyway, I hope you all are well. Today's topic is more or less, and what is more or less all about today? Well, as it comes as it is with us musicians, more or less tracks when it comes to recording, more or less gigs when it comes to booking, more or less uploads when it comes to music and videos. You know, what does myself, Nick Hill, and if Stephen gets into the stream, What do we do? What is our personal practices? Oh, look at that background. Nick Hill, hello, welcome.
What is that? Let's get rid of that real quick, right?
Amazing. Oh, there you go. Great. Is Stephen going to be jumping in?
I don't know.
It's okay. If he isn't, that's okay. But if he could, that'd be great. It'd be super fun. But I'm just explaining what today's show is all about. Hello, Baritone Cult. Hope all is well. But yeah, today's show, more or less. It's like more or less tracks, like more or less layers of tracks when you're producing, more or less gigs when you're booking, more or less uploads of new music or new videos. The more or less approach. Some people will say more is always better. Some people will say being very mindful of not to spam, so to speak, when it comes to shows or new videos or new music, or when it comes to layering or whatever. Does the track need all of these layers or whatever? So we're going to talk about that from each perspective. Do you get some word from Stephen there?
I messaged him, so we'll see what happens.
We'll hear in a moment.
Yep.
It's like Nick Hill with like a cool emo swoop and
right?
You know what I mean? I like it.
Oh man.
How was your drive? You just got in from work, right?
It was, yeah. I was in Chicago a little bit longer than I had anticipated because you and I seem to have a hard time remembering when Wednesday is.
I thought it was Tuesday.
Same.
And when I was talking to Carrie, she also thought it was Tuesday, so it didn't help.
Yeah.
And it would just hit me like a brick, and I'm like, holy crap, I got to finish this, that, and that, and that. And I'm like, and I got to stream today. Holy crap.
Yeah, I've been doing it's weird. I work remote. Let me adjust this. I work remote, but I have been in our office in Chicago
more often
an odd amount the last few weeks, and like I have to leave at a specific time to make it here in time, and that did not happen. And yeah, it's kind of my fault, but like I said, my defense is I thought it was Tuesday.
It's all good. It kind of worked out. I could not get the stream to link. I followed the YouTube tutorials and everything, and it just wouldn't show. And I'm like, anyway, show's live now, so
yeah.
And
it is what it
is. All these gorgeous gents.
The guys will find us.
all the gorgeous gents are in the house. Good to see everyone. But yes, Nick, today's topic, just to get you inside of what's going on, it's the more or less. And we're going to apply the more or less. We're going to talk about the more or less from each of our perspectives and kind of like our philosophy towards it in a bunch of different areas, because I think there's a lot of conflicting information. And I think a lot of times what's going on is it's got more to do with preference and more to do with the specific situation.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll kick it off with more or less when it comes to production. Are you game for that one?
Absolutely.
Because I think you could speak a lot. I think it's a good one to kick off because I know clearly we both have very different approaches to it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw it to you first. In terms of production, I already know that your interest in, or not interest, but your primary method in production is like a lot of layers. You like a lot of layers. And you'll hear conflicting information seemingly from other people. And they're like, oh, you don't need so much.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening there is people are talking more about only include what you intend. And so maybe the message on your side is you intend to use everything you use. It's not like it doesn't come with intention.
Well, I mean, first off, I think I'm coming through your monitors. I can hear myself.
Oh, I am coming through the monitors. How's that?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's.
That's why you sound like an angel.
Oh, so I have an internal debate about this very topic when I'm in like the thick of constructing a track or production, or even when I'm mixing. I'll feel like this isn't thick enough. I need to quad track it,
Right.
or because I like to have complementary guitar parts often.
Hmm.
Going back to, I kind of fell in love with, when I really got into metal, it was Swedish metal. And if you listen to like 90s and 2000s Swedish metal, it's like matching, like one guy's playing one thing and the other guy's playing something that's not the same thing, but it goes along and it interweaves.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's been part of me ever since. And of course, all the harmonies and stuff from all the thrash band, like, Metallica, early, those pivotal albums. But so I do like stuff going on, especially if it's if you listen to my productions, like if I have a real knuckle dragger of a riff going on, I like to have a little bit of, sugar and spice on top of it, with some like dissonant kind of thing happening, or there's almost always something going on, right?
Yeah.
And I think when I do that, I think it lends itself for the intentional knuckle dragging riffs to have more impact. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
like when everything comes
So when it
together.
simplifies and goes into
Yeah.
unison, it makes a bigger impact,
Yes.
or
So
there's a bigger difference.
I'm always thinking in and out of that. And I know the more you add layers and complexity, the harder it's going to be to mix. The harder it is going to be to duplicate live
Mhm.
with human beings. I recognize this.
So this is sort of your CTA to the people, to the folks. It's like things to look out for. Number
Yeah,
one, difficult to mix, and
for
and
sure.
uh, and
St-
so maybe go through the list and then talk about each one.
yeah.
Difficult to
So
mix, hard to play out live, if not impossible.
right. Yeah. So I guess let me think if there's another one. Like, so definitely it adds complexity to your mix, right? Um, it can take away from the impact of that particular part. Live, I've not had to cross this bridge, so when and if it does happen, it's probably going to be a bitch. Um,
There
but
are options.
there's ways to get around that. Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Um, and I think those are the two big glaring things.
So how do you go about looking at the mix end of things? Like when you're
Yeah.
recorded, you got all these tracks. What are you looking for when you're mixing and you got a lot of layers? I imagine you still pay attention to the sort of bass of the mix,
Mm-hmm.
not the bass guitar, but the bass as in the foundation of
The
the mix
like that
first.
foundation riff. Like, what is the point of this particular part? Is it this riff? Cool. Okay, I'm gonna surround around this thing. So the bass and we'll just say rhythm for this example. Like the bass and the rhythm of that particular riff is the focus, and then, um, especially that track Humanity. It's like so many layers. I was thinking hardcore Devin Townsend, like just make it a big opus. So you got the rhythm, you got the bass and the drums, and they're sounding big and huge. And then I have like a melody going over the top, and it's a lot of EQ. So like, what's the point? I want the point in what I mean by that is like, what's the point riff? What's the important riff here? That's going to have the full spectrum. That's going to be the heaviest thing. Then any melody I'm going to kind of roll stuff off on both ends. I want
Right.
you to hear it, but I don't want it to distract from the point. I want it to kind of blend. And then there's going to be even more, oftentimes, more melody and harmony on top of that, especially with that track. And it's a lot of EQ tricks, I think. I use a lot of EQ. Um, Obviously, panning comes into play with a lot of this stuff. And it's something I'm not spectacularly good at. So, like, Steven, if you listen to Steven's mixes, um, in his demos, I'm sure you've heard, and if you listen to Close the Hatch stuff, like he's very good at writing stuff like this is deliberately going to be over here, and this is deliberately going to be over here, and then there's something deliberately down the center. I am in when I say notoriously bad, like who's who amongst what crowd, but like I am bad at thinking about that, you know? I'm
Right.
like center and then panned, center and panned, and it's something I really get stuck in.
Yeah.
But stereo spectrum panning plays into this kind of thing a lot. So it's something to consider. But when I have really dense mixes, it's about EQ, and less gain often,
Mhm.
and feel. So if it feels like it's a mess, then I'll cut stuff back, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I think your point of less gain is actually a very important one when it comes to layering, like quad tracking and just the more layers that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Being, uh, I think, having some insight before you start the layering process to be
Yeah.
like, am I going to be layering this section and start with less gain to begin with?
Yeah, and if I find I'm in a particular part and I add something down the road, because that happens too, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, I will re-record stuff
Yeah.
with a different tone, with a different sound. Um, I
Just so you
also,
get a fuller
yeah,
mix because you
yeah,
get that
because
natural chorusing, right?
yeah, especially if you're quad tracking, right? You're gonna
Yeah.
get that, and you're
Yeah.
not gonna need nearly as much gain if you're quad tracking.
No.
Um, we know this. We talk about that. You know, that's even if you're just double tracking, you can get away with a surprising amount of like
Dryness.
dryness.
Yeah.
Exactly. And um, the other thing I was gonna say that I think is gone into the ether. Come on, it was right there. It was somewhat important, but now it's drifting into space.
Quad tracking, layers, gain.
Uh,
Damn.
oh, so another thing I'll do if um it's contradictory of what we just said. If I
Mm-hmm.
have a quad track section that it's like it feels like it needs X amount of gain, what I'll do is I'll throw, if it's like a arpeggiated part, I'll throw a clean version of it tucked in the background, you know,
Okay. To
to
pop it out.
like a little bit of articulation. Most people
Right.
probably won't even hear it, you know,
Right. It'll
but
just add to the attack.
yeah, exactly. And there's parts of songs that I know I've showed in mix breakdowns where when I soloed it, people are like, "Whoa, I didn't even hear that." But then if I play it in the context and then mute it, they hear it, you know? So
They
it's
either
like,
hear it or they notice like a glaring gap without
yes,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
In Caves, there's a part in the chorus, if you will, where I have the same chord. I'm playing the same chord through the whole thing, but the riff is moving, you know? Like there's a progression in the main part, but there's also a chord in the background that's playing constantly. So it's like a drone almost.
Yep.
And when you take it away, you hear it, you feel it, like you said, you feel it more than anything. And you're
Mm-hmm.
like, "What's missing?" But then you add it back in and it just fills it up. I don't know what that is or if it's useful. And then there's people that probably say like, well, if you can't hear it, do you even need it? Like, yeah, maybe not. But
Yeah.
that's the beautiful thing about the subjectivity of music, right?
Well,
Because
and
you're like
that's
on the flip side.
I'm on the flip side, but I get the I get the big picture.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know, I'm not like anti layers.
right. No, I know.
I think another another big thing to think about when it comes to layering or otherwise, when it comes to production in general, is there's nothing wrong with the because I felt like it.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe it's not the perfect thing to for most people. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I like maybe there is some excuse for someone else, but if it's what you want, good enough.
yeah. So I think something that is really cool about like your style, your productions, and your mixes or lack of a mix. You know what I mean? Is like you know you know the principles, the rules, if you will. You know them. You know the industry standards.
Yeah, I think
And
I always cover off on the absolute basics of it all, and then I kind of let the rest of it just go to vibe.
yes, exactly. That's what I was gonna get at. Like, you know, like if it was like if you were in a studio and someone said, we're doing this X track and we want it to the T, just your typical standard stuff, go, 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 go. You know, you could do it. You know how that works when it comes to production. And in that you can then like you do your own thing then, you know? Like
Yeah,
it's not typical styles or techniques. And I think it's the idea that you know those things that contribute to it, if this is making any sense at all. You
absolutely.
know, it's like I know the rules, so I know where I'm going to push them or push the boundaries, you know?
I also keep things so unbelievably simple that it's hard to get a bad result.
Yes. Yeah. And
Like,
that's something that I've said to you recently. It's like about your mixes and you're like the funny thing is like I'm not doing any mixing. And that's
yet.
because your process is so streamlined, it's
Right.
so refined
And also,
that
there's so little to deal with to
and that's
begin
the
with.
other thing
Yeah.
exact is like you have your compositions down really to a science when it comes to your style, which is
Right.
it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. There is a lot of freedom in it. I think the philosophy that drives what I do in terms of production, anyway, is in my personal life, I've not even scratched the surface of the most basic things.
Yeah.
So I try to like really focus on the most basic things possible and see how many combinations, see how much that I can do with the absolute simplest stuff. So when it comes to recording, basically guitar left, right, bass center, drums in a typical pan arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and uh, in terms of, excuse me, layering, usually as far as I'll go is maybe if there's a lead, I'll keep the two guitars left, right. There's very rarely leads in any of my music, but if there is, I'll still keep the two guitars left and right, even though live, one of those left right guitars is going to be playing the lead.
Right.
And but on the record, I'll make sure that there's a reasonably hard pan. I never do 100% pans out. I keep things about 85 to 90%
Mm-hmm.
maximum width, and then I'll push things in mastering to give a little bit more sense of width
Got it.
spatially.
Yeah.
But yeah, I keep it really, really, really simple and don't do too much layering. And some of the benefits of that we've kind of talked about from the other side is that we have less phasing issues, we have less chorusing, and the thing about phasing and chorusing is there are aspects of phasing and chorusing that are beneficial
Yeah.
or pleasant. Um, it's just the degree to which it becomes damaging to a mix, like the degree to which phasing becomes problematic, the degree to which chorusing becomes problematic. And I think that's maybe the more important conversation that people need to focus on. It's really easy to kind of watch a lot of YouTube videos or read a lot of articles or whatever that kind of give an individual's personal philosophy, that shares an individual's personal philosophy
Yep.
as law,
As
as
gospel.
rule.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there are definitely certain aspects of that um, that are that are sometimes in fact a law. So um, when it comes to functions, the function of a compressor, you know, understanding how it functions and how to work with it
Mm-hmm.
is good. And it's how you choose to use it is up to you,
Yeah.
but how it functions is law. So sometimes it's hard to distinguish. It's like, what are people sharing? Are they sharing the laws of the gear, like the way that the gear foundationally functions, or are they sharing their own personal sort of laws of things? Because people don't often give disclaimers when they're sharing their process,
Yeah.
because it's difficult to keep track of, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
not on people's minds.
Right. And I mean, like I said, there's like standards or rules of thumb. You know, it's good to know
Yeah.
those things.
Well, talking about a few of those would be like minus zero point zero 0.02 for a master. Like,
Mm-hmm.
try to never go over that.
Right.
If you want to never clip a device, like
Right.
if you keep it there, likely that you'll never clip the actual playback device, and that's the whole idea there.
I mean, gain staging is something, right? Like it's talked about. It's there's like people who insist this negative this dB or this negative this dB. It's like
Yeah,
you just want to give yourself headroom, and that's what gain staging is essentially.
yeah. Gain staging is really helpful in terms of getting actually a huge mix, a huge sounding stuff.
Yeah.
However, there's also ways, in terms of most of the gear that we use now is digital and it's 32-bit float.
Mm-hmm.
So there are ways that you can use, like, fully just clipping the channel fader.
Yep.
You can use that to a positive effect,
Mm-hmm.
just maxing it out, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just pure red. You can use that to a positive effect for certain types of things.
Yeah.
And because it's 32-bit float within the DAW, it's internally not degrading, but you're getting a cool saturation effect
Mm-hmm.
with it clipping. Well, you can get a cool effect.
Yeah. You
It's
can
not
do
advisable if
anything.
you have no idea what you're doing.
Correct. Yeah.
Understand it first and then employ it.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's the case with everything in terms of the less or more. So you do typically in your productions a lot more. I do it a lot less. I think Stephen, I wish he was on. Stephen does kind of a mix of the two.
Yeah, I think he would probably be leaning a little bit more towards your end, but he does like layers, and that's what I said. He's like really good at like having a visual ear about planning on where
What?
things are going to go in the spectrum. Like I think
Yeah.
he's really great at it too.
Yeah.
I mean, let's listen to Close the Hatch songs. You know,
Yeah.
he
It
he's
sounds
got
like there's so much going on, even though they're
really it's
sort of simple, but like,
yeah. It's clear, but there's like it's interesting stuff in your ears, you know, in your mind's eye, if you will.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, totally.
We're going to grab a few questions, or a few comments rather. They're rarely questions. A lot of times it's just comments, really good ones. I see a few new faces in the stream. Sean Heath, how are you? I hope you are well. Whatchamacallit? Baritone Cult is saying, Steven, where are you at? Yo, Steven. Any call back from him?
No.
He's playing hooky on us.
Well, I think that might be on me. I think I mentioned bandless and then like never got back to him earlier in the day.
Okay.
So
Right.
he did ask as on the way home, and I told him like, yeah, we're working on it. I guess one of us should have gotten a hold of you. So that's on. I'll take the blame. You can blame me, guys.
Well, he can still jump in. Maybe shoot him a text.
I did.
Like,
I said if you want to jump in,
yeah,
come on down.
come on down. RoughRiffs. Hello, RoughRiffs. I don't think I said hello to you yet. I hope you're well. Just got done with what I think is the final recording take for the song I'm working on. Just double checking the bass, then final mix time.
Okay.
And I saw a little bit more on this. Cosman says congrats, and I also say congrats.
Oh, Cosman, just finish it up, baby.
Yeah, just get it out there.
Just
I got my
finish it
track.
up,
I got
buddy.
my Bandcamp track.
Just finish it
done.
up, Cosman. Come on, Greg.
Get at
Just
it.
finish her up.
Yeah.
Like, you got it. You're right there.
Yeah. And RoughRiffs says, good luck to Cosman. And I decided to compromise and just do the instrumental for this Friday. We'll properly focus on vocals after my move is complete.
Yeah, man.
I think that's a great,
Absolutely.
great idea. There ain't nothing wrong with instrumentals. I myself, it is my favorite format for music. That doesn't mean that I dislike vocals. A lot of, some people are like, oh, Bunn, they're like, you hate vocals.
You hate
I'm like,
vocals.
I don't hate vocals. Stop putting ideas in your whatever. Stop putting your thing on me.
Yeah.
There's plenty of things where I like vocals. I'm very selective about what vocal music I like.
Yeah.
But yeah, ain't nothing wrong with instrumentals. And I think this philosophy of just get it out there and sort it out later, especially at this stage, amazing. Like, actually, at any stage, to be totally serious, like totally frank about it.
And we're all nerds anyhow. Like, I think everybody will appreciate down the road an instrumental version of a track that ends up having vocals on it. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's something that you can then bundle and package down the road as well. So
did you not do this on your last release? Your Wells release is not, it is, as far as I remember, it is available from Bandcamp in one download in both.
Yep. I put the instrumentals on Bandcamp, so people who bought it on Bandcamp got the instrumentals. And I thought that was cool. I mean, I know I'm a dweeb, man. I want to hear what's going on.
Yeah.
So
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, there you go. A bundle.
Yeah. And Cosman says, wish I could do vocals. Poked a few folks, ended up doing solo lines. Got a verse and chorus to solidify still, I guess, with the guitar melody.
Yep.
Seems I just can't force it. No, I just can force it. Just chip away. My bud JT is being producer's ear. Yeah, sweet. You got somebody to kind of like play it off of. That's awesome. But yeah, I love this. People are just going for it. And it's the thing that I kick myself the most out of about not doing earlier.
Yeah.
I do that a lot now. I just go for it. I'm like, whatever. If it absolutely isn't working and, I'm just smashing my head on the wall, I'm like, that's not healthy. And then I'll chill out. But yeah. Otherwise,
I think if you just kind of take a step back for a little bit and then realistically think about, like, how much more do I really need for this to be finished, And I think putting something out, like Bunn says, like, don't force it, don't drive yourself crazy, but like also don't let the perfect chorus or the perfect end to this thing stop you from putting something out, Yeah.
My first Wetlands jam post Foreigns.
Mm-hmm.
The clutch riffs.
Yeah.
I don't know. At the time, I thought it was okay. I'm like, oh, this is cool, whatever. And then, in hindsight, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm just like, oh, where I ended up with that project. Like my last couple tracks are so banging. Not that track isn't banging, but it's just like what I'm doing now is exactly what I want to do.
But you know what I mean? It's like we talked about this. You had to get through those initial wetlands things, and it's like, okay,
what is wetlands?
I got that propulsion. I'm in that direction, Yeah. So, yeah, man. And Renato's,
Renato's just about to track some vocals.
Excellent.
Get at it, sir.
I'm excited for you guys. I'm envious. I've worked on a little bit of music. I did write some cool riffs for a video I shot for a guitar store I'm working with. So this is a cool exercise because I'm going to be working with them more. So it's going to force me to write more music, and then that's only going to benefit me, right? So I did write some stuff. It's definitely not Wells stuff, but they're cool riffs nonetheless.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that people are working on music because I have been like chomping at the bit to work on music, and if it's not like trying to do some YouTube stuff, it's work stuff, and um, you know, I'm stoked for you guys. It's good.
Yeah. And whatchamacallit, Mr. Cosman says, I do go back now and listen to stuff from the past where I just went for it, had no idea what I was doing, and now I'm like, how did I do that? Yeah.
I think you might be in one of those moments, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Just go for it. And we got a very handsome Barry Prosser.
Barry, what's up, buddy?
Prosser. Hey, how's it
Processor?
going? Processor. Barry Processor. It's like gain levels at max. And Mr.
Do it,
Synth
Synth
Chris. Good to see you, brother. I hope you do drop a track. I'm dropping a track. I'm going to say I got a banger.
You got yourself a banger for
I got myself
sure.
a banger.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I'm so pumped at what is coming out of the Bunn Riff Factory at the moment.
That's the fun feeling, man.
It's a great feeling. Baritone Cult says, for me, the coolest thing about writing songs is always trying to mix it up. Healthy therapy.
Yeah.
Trying to mix. I'm going to guess here, not about mix it up in terms of the mix, but mix it up in terms of what the tune is made of.
Yeah.
Mix up the riffs, mix up the flavors, mix up the textures. I'm pretty sure that, everything we've ever talked about Baritone Cult seems to be always in that direction, and I know you're pretty fond of that stuff. And Synth Chris says, hopping on the bandwagon, the Bandcamp bandwagon, do it.
Yeah.
It's
I'm excited to see how many of you guys put something out, and then we can we'll do something and push it for you guys and collectively kind of support. We got the community, everybody will support you guys, and yeah, this is.
Yeah, I am going to be doing a live stream this Friday, which is Bandcamp Friday.
Excellent.
And
then it's on you.
So I'd like to have everybody's info. I'm going to go into the bandless, what is it called? Discord, and see who's doing what. And because I typically shout out pals on Bandcamp Fridays on my live streams.
Mm-hmm.
And my live streams are only going to be on the first Friday of every month going forward. Like I'm only going to be doing one live stream per month going forward. But yeah, I'd love to shout you guys out and maybe even listen on the stream, because I think most of that stuff will escape copyright for.
I don't think you need to worry about it.
Because it has to hit for a while.
Yeah, and I don't know that unless if we're just putting it up on Bandcamp, I don't think you have an issue to worry about.
No, I think it's fine. And also, I won't monetize the stream, so there's that conflict will be won't be there. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna hit the next little bit here.
Yeah.
And the next one is in terms of more or less. So for those of you just joining us, today's topic is more or less. The first topic we touched on was more or less in terms of production, like more or less layers, more or less ear candy, more or less, just that whole thing. And I guess the philosophy that drives today's conversation is this whole idea of taking a step back and looking at all of it, looking at both sides rather than looking at it in duality, in this as these opposing things, more or less. Well, how about more and less?
Right.
So the next one, Nick, gonna hit you with this first, is more or less posting of produced content. So this could be videos, songs, all this kind of stuff. There are some folks who will say, frequency is king. There are others that will say not too often because it's spam. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts on
Yeah.
all of that are. Where are the lines for all of this for you? And what
So this
what
this
do
is
you do? What do you hope to do?
Yeah, so this is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to music. I guess so. I'll touch on talk about what you know, right? So YouTube, I think you can probably post too much YouTube, too many videos. I think you need to have a consistency though. So figure out what is feasible for your time frames, for your allotted time that you have to work on your stuff. And if I can do one produced original content video every 2 weeks, and it's at the level I want it at, then that's what you should shoot for. Like I can do this every 2 weeks, it's going to be good, and I'll feel proud of it. If you're consistent, that's great. If you can knock out it one a week, that's great. That's what I shoot for. The last couple weeks, I haven't hit it, but I know when things aren't wacky, I'm more than capable of handling that, right? So I'm not going to, just because I've had a couple off weeks, I'm not going to let it turn into a thing. It'll get back to every week, and that's just how I feel. Renato mentions the algorithm. It's funny. I know I don't give a shit about like what. I'm not saying anything about the comment. I'm saying like, yes, of course, there are things you can do to propel yourself up
to game the
the
system.
algorithm
Yeah.
to yes. I don't care about that. Like I genuinely don't. Like when I make a video, it's because of this. Oh, this is cool. I would have loved to know about this. I'm going to share it.
Yeah.
This is cool. It's always about like, if I was just getting into this, would this be useful for me? That's when I make a video. And occasionally, if it's a cool piece of gear that I do get my hands on that I think is useful, I'm not just gonna. I get offers for stuff and I say no all the time.
Yeah.
If it doesn't make any sense, I'm not gonna do it. So what I'm saying is like I'm not gonna like I need to get a video. I need to get a video. Yes, of course it's gonna benefit me if I have one on the nose every 3 days. It could, but I'm not going to do that because it's going to be half of those videos are going to be half-assed. It's just going to end up that way.
Well, I see it with in terms of YouTube and videos. I see it with the really big YouTubers.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
just like they do content every week or multiple times per week, and
they're like half videos.
Yeah, they used to, and some of these people are people who used to put out kick-ass stuff.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm just like, this video is about nothing.
Yep. Yes. That's what I don't want to happen.
Yeah.
I'd rather go 2 weeks and then put together a great video that people are going to get something useful out of than hit the every week mark,
Yeah.
So in regards to that, you have to just kind of like look at, reflect upon yourself. Like, what do you want for you and your channel? Yes, I want the channel to grow. I'm fine with the rate at which it's growing. I'm at a little bit of a plateau, but I don't care because things propel, things happen.
Things are always moving. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not worried about it. It is in my best interest for the channel to do good, of course. Like we've talked about this. We don't shy away from that.
But is it doing bad? No.
No, never. I can't. The only way my channel will do bad is if I deleted it.
Yeah, I believe.
I can't go. I can't go backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm good there. Now.
The only way to fail is to give up.
Exactly. Music. This is an interesting thing, right? Because there's people like with staunch opinions in the camp of like, it's singles now. Like, this is what you need to do. You need to do a single every month. You should be dropping a single every month.
Yeah,
minimum.
People are talking about that like that's what you're supposed to do.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people are like, this is how it is now. If you want to make it, you need to be doing this. And while I think there are times in your musical, like, there are times when you could do that, you should do that, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
You know.
but also there is still something to be said about the album format. And I don't think that's ever going to go away, despite what anybody says. And
Yeah.
like, there's other ways to keep people's interest. YouTube, Instagram, behind the scenes stuff. That's way to keep. I know we live in a
Yeah.
world. We live in a world where there's this idea that everybody has short attention spans, and to some degree that is true. But I don't think it's as true as, like, the people who are trying to get you to use whatever conveyance to help you post every week or help you do this every week. You know what I mean? Like, there are companies. This is going to sound very conspiracy theorist, but it's not. I promise you. So, like, the idea that there's short attention span, you need to be posting every week, you need to be putting out new music, is like, Lander wants you to think like you need to be putting out music every week, and then so you're going to need to have a subscription so that you can master a song every week or every month. Like, they have something to gain by you putting music out every month or week. What I'm getting at is, like, find a balance, you know?
Find your balance.
Yeah. Like, I think this cool because these Bandcamp Fridays pop up once every 2 months? Once a month. Once a month.
First Friday of every month.
So it's not unreasonable to come out with some sort of something musically once a month. It's a good goal. But also, like, I have a lot of singles. Like 2020, I did a bunch of singles, and I kind of wish they were on a thing now. You know, like they're on a.
You could put them on a thing.
I'm working on it. It's on the whiteboard. You know, it's like a thing. There's a cover made, and like, it's just like, okay, I need to put this together.
Yeah, keep a note on that one because I'd like to talk about that exact point.
Yeah. Tech is in it
in a minute.
Yeah, I'm almost done with my rant. It's like, there's no clear cut answer for this. I think we both have been doing the single thing for a while because 2020 was an interesting circumstance, and it felt like it was a good reason to do that kind of format. I still have a very, like, I still want to be album based, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for Wells, like, I don't think I want to drop a single with 2 tracks on it again.
A maxi.
You know, yeah, a maxi. I don't think it doesn't feel finished, you know? So that was more of a case of, like, I got these songs and we want to get it out. But like, I'm still like, I want to put an album on, man. And when I say album, I'm put in a CD or whatever, or hit play on, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I want to listen to only CDs.
Yeah, I want, yes,
CDs sound really good. Hey?
I'm in the hunt for a CD changer so that I can just put it on a hi-fi system and, you know, I want to listen to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was surprised at how hi-fi CDs sounded with a good DAC.
Yeah,
like a good digital audio converter system, like a good player.
It's better than streaming.
Yeah, a cool hack, by the way, is most DVD players have better audio converters than CD players do. So if you use a DVD player as your CD player, you'll often get better audio fidelity.
Yeah, I used to always do that.
24-bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so that's
Album.
it. I think there's something to be said about albums, but I guess one last thing is, like, if you're just getting into this and trying to build a fan base, the single thing for a while could be beneficial to you. But
I think the operative part there is the could, like,
could.
In terms of everything that we're talking about when it comes to this particular topic is I think the flavor or the takeaway is you really got to find what's right for you, and how that plots out over a 12-month period,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, a great example, like, so the band Spirit Box, they blew up in 2020, right? They really just got, like, they kind of blew up because they put out this particular single that did super well for them. They've had albums before that, and they just finished an album that's going to come out at some point
They
this
also,
year.
I think they did a video for every single song.
Yes. The singles they did in 2020, they did videos for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something too, but that's obviously easier said than done. If you're a solo creative like we are, that's extraordinarily difficult. Depending
I
on who's around you. I know we need
I need
dude,
to,
we need we need Wetlands videos. Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
I want to do videos.
I have ideas for
everything.
videos too, so hopefully that's something we can discuss when we finally are able to get together. Maybe we can plan
Just
something.
Shoot 'em.
Yeah, and just shoot them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my piece though.
Cool. I kind of want to, dive a little bit deeper into the whole singles versus albums thing. You already touched on the whole idea of being closer to the beginning as opposed to being a more established artist. I'm definitely still kind of at the beginning as a solo artist doing I have my 3 projects. And I don't always have good ideas for any one of them, which is why I have 3 of them.
Yeah.
But they're all kind of slowly growing, and it takes me about a month to put a piece of music together. So the single per month thing is great. And the thing that I have no issue with is taking let's say at the end of a 12-month cycle, for me to take those 12 songs or the key songs throughout that 12-month period that I'm like, those are bangers, I'm going to put them together and rework them for an actual album format of some kind, and maybe put it also into a physical format, a limited edition format,
this is something that's super, super sick, super interesting to me right now. It's
so that kind of stuff is on the table. There's no rules to any of it.
No. Yeah.
But some people are bent about singles versus albums. I'm like, well, your singles can be albums. They are called a single.
Yeah.
A single from the album.
Right.
That's usually what a single means.
And like that's sort of being done in reverse with bigger bands. So Gojira, their album is out now. They had like 3/4 of the album trickle out in single format, and then the album dropped.
Right.
Like
they
had 5, 6 singles that were like released, maybe one a week up until the album came out.
Yeah.
So like they see the benefit in it too, So like they're doing both.
Yeah. For me,
there's no
the social media opportunity, the
absolutely
right, the marketing opportunity. How much opportunity do you have with to get out there with a whole album versus a whole 12 singles, let's say?
Right.
You're going to have way more reach with 12 singles than you do with one album drop. The amount of time that the buzz on the album versus in 1 year, if you release singles all year long,
you get
you'll
more
get
out
buzz
of it
every
in the
single
long
month.
run. Yeah.
If you drop one album in a whole year, you'll get the exact same amount of buzz
you get a month
as that 1 month,
yeah,
which is about 3 or 4 days.
That's very true.
Unless you're big. If you're big, it's
correct.
different.
Right. We're definitely not. We're not really talking about those scenarios or bands, but yeah. And so I think this is very interesting, in a cool way, because we're both in a situation where we could put out at at least in a few months, for you especially, like put together, like I said, I'm already planning it with a bunch of my singles, putting an album together with it.
Absolutely.
And because we've talked about it in the chat before, where it's like, oh, there's a lot of people that like, they like the single because you get to hear new music, but also like there is like, oh, I don't want to have to go and make a playlist and then put them all together. Like, I get it. Like, if there's an album, then you just play the album. It's mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's more opportunity for keeping your name out there, and opportunity to have a cool album cover that you could then turn it into merch opportunities, or you
Yeah.
know really cool art. You can still get liner art made. You can still do that. And you brought up physical copies, which is something I've always wanted to do, so
Yeah.
yeah, it just gives yourself more opportunities. So if you do it in this reverse type of process, which we're not saying is the way it should be done, or anything like that. It's like,
we're not.
this is an approach. Like, we're kind of discovering, like, we're testing out this approach. And, we've talked about this before. It's like, this feels like a good roadmap to something like single compilation album, because they're all going to kind of like bleed into each other in a way to some degree, so it's not like, oh, we got these riffs from, 2003, and then I just wrote this really great shit 2 weeks ago that doesn't make any sense to be put together. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is cool. I think it's a cool process. I think this is cool. I like this,
Yeah.
and it's what you and I have been trending towards anyhow.
I like I like the whole idea of emergence, like what emerges as a result of the process, and making releases part of the process, as opposed to the process up to the point of a release.
Mm-hmm.
It's different, right? Like through releasing singles, it's not even releasing singles, writing and releasing singles. Usually singles, the album is written and then the singles are released
Right.
after the album is written.
Yeah.
And then the album drops. That's
Exactly.
typically the way. In the old days, they'd have a few lead up singles, drop the album, and then continue to release singles depending on the success of the album.
Which
but-
I always thought to be weird, right? Doesn't that seem weird?
I don't know.
I mean,
It's,
not weird, but like just compared to like I don't think that would work today.
I don't think so either. I think people lose interest
Because it's like, oh, this album's been
unless
out.
it's
Why
a
are you...
massive artist.
But
Like,
also, like, let's be realistic. Like, videos were more of a thing, were more of a tool. Like, I guess videos have now been replaced with social media to some degree as far as promotional.
well,
because
videos are still a big deal. This is the thing that we don't really. I don't know how much videos you watch. Do you watch music
I
videos?
still seek out music videos.
Yeah, same.
It's very important to me because we're cinematic people, and
Do you know
there's
the
a lot to
production company
glean.
Canada?
Huh?
Do you know the production company Canada?
No.
They're not from Canada, but
No.
anyway.
There's a lot you can learn
Yeah.
about making video from music videos.
Oh yeah.
They're cramming like a movie in 2.5 to 3.5 minutes.
All the candy.
Exactly. You hit it on the nose. The most creative techniques you'll usually see in a music video at some point before you see it anywhere else.
Yeah.
and I still seek out music videos, and it's still, you're right, it is still huge. But like, nobody turns on a thing to have it on for 5 hours and listen to music but also watch the videos. That's not a thing unless you're a nerd like you or I and we seek it out. But what I'm getting at is like, they'd have a single and then the album would release, and they would continue to release singles based on the success of that, but they would always have a video with those singles, So there was like a method to it. It's just it's all interesting, man, and like it goes in and out of what works and what doesn't, and different shit works for different artists,
different
genres.
artists. Yeah.
Like,
You got a few things going on. You got the genre, you got the artist, you got the audience.
yeah,
And within a genre, an artist who has a significant audience, what is the nature of the audience? Like their relationship, and what is their habits in terms of the consumption of the media?
yeah. That's something too to think about, like your audience. Like, and we talk about this, and I bring it up, and I'm sure it's annoying to you guys who are in here all the time. But like, your 1,000 true fans, like those people are going to be like, yes, I want that in album form. I want that, you know.
Yeah.
So like, it's behoove you, especially with the tools we have. It's not a ton of extra work to put it together in album form. You may as well, you know, because who knows what percentage of the people who love your stuff are going to like, you know, support it, and that's beneficial to you.
In terms of a physical or just
Physical,
or
even just straight up digital, like
I just need to bring a little bit of clarity to
Yeah.
it. Like put it so you're saying like take your singles that you have, take your releases that you already have, and bundle them up. It's worth doing that.
yes, that's what, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry if I
Absolutely.
wasn't clear. Yeah, I think it's worth doing it. Yes.
Yeah. There's no harm in putting it all together. I know bands before the internet age that would do that. They'd release a whole bunch of 7-inches.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Converge is first. I don't know. Do you know Converge? A couple
Yeah.
folks in here are going to know who Converge is. Baritone Cult probably knows Converge and otherwise. But Converge is like a pretty popular metalcore band, and they've been around for a very long time. And their first album, Petitioning the Empty Skies, was just a whole bunch of 7s, all reworked and re-recorded and put onto I think some original versions are actually on there as well, but it's either Petitioning the Empty Skies or When Forever Comes Crashing. Not sure. One of those albums. It's their first big one.
Yeah, see, I think that's sick. And Killswitch even did something too. Like they had singles, and then they grouped a couple singles with another couple singles, and then those were reworked and ended up being the first album, you know? So
Yeah.
there's no, I don't know, there's no
No
wrong
reason
way
why
to do
you
this.
can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like the point of this conversation is like just because you released maybe some material already doesn't mean all is lost. I think you can repurpose that material.
Yeah.
Maybe revisit and rework that material. There's still opportunity in that material that you may have already released to rework, repackage, and put together into a body of work and release again. Especially if there's some like additional creative effort put into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there might be more mileage in what you're doing than you know. And I think getting music out pretty frequently is a great practice as an artist. You know, even if it's not for commercial gain or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
for myself, and I think for a bunch of people here, I don't know everyone super closely, but there's a couple people I know. It's like it's just kind of in you that you have to kind of be doing this, or else you go insane.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. I think that's your thing, Nick. I don't want to speak for you, but that's how I know you. And you just got to do it anyway. So might as well kind of like make it a bit of a strategic thing and take it even further.
Yeah.
If
Absolutely.
you know, but yeah, frequency and frequently are definitely positives when it comes to the release of music. I think when it comes to the video side of things, or you know, any kind of A-list content, you know, weekly, monthly schedule is probably good. Where spam is an issue is maybe in social media content.
For sure.
You know, being mindful and being social in social media as opposed to media.
Yeah.
Put the emphasis on the social and have fun with it. You know, talk to have the conversation going and all that kind of stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those two things get confused because YouTube is social media, and I guess Bandcamp and all that, Spotify, that's kind of social in a way, not as social
Right.
as others. Bandcamp does have a social component, though. For those of you who do not know, there is a fully social component to Bandcamp, although it's very simplistic. But anyhow, we're going to move on from this one. Anything you want to add, Mr. Nick Hill?
No, I think I said enough about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. It was a fun one.
Yeah.
And whatchamacallit, we're going to grab a few comments. And Reed says, isn't it unloved and weeded out after a later Converge singles album? Yes, it is. But there's one way before that. But I believe you're right. I don't have that one to be able to check. Do you have your eyes on any?
Yeah.
Here we go. Baritone
So-
Cult says, oh, sorry.
Did we click the same thing?
We might have.
Yeah.
That's what I clicked.
Oh, that's what I clicked.
You go.
Baritone Cult says, I'm going to continue to release singles. When I drop an album, I'll have 5 new songs and add 5 singles. That would work for me maybe next year. Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Yeah.
I mean, that sounds
That sounds fun too.
Yeah, exactly. You chip away half an album, then you're like, okay. There's a little bit of like, if you think like, all right, I need to write an album. That sounds like a shitload of scary work right there. So you just cut that in half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're building momentum over those 5 singles. A great idea, Aaron. Great approach, for sure.
How long do you think it would take you if you're like, okay, I'm going to write an album. I'm going to do an album. How long do you think it would actually take you? 12 songs, 10 to 12 songs.
We could probably figure this out. We could probably figure out, well, how many songs were on Ample Chattels. I know how many I had done, and I know how many I wrote.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not going to do it right now. I'm not going to do the math,
Yeah.
but
I think
If
it
I
would
had to-
take me a year.
at least.
I think it would take me a
It
solid
would take
year.
me a year to write, to mix, to write stuff that I felt good enough about, and then mix it. And then there's everything else we've talked about in previous episodes about what goes into a release, art and
Oh, yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a year is quick. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Oh, yeah. It would be interesting because I feel like that year would almost just like disappear
I was just gonna say disintegrate. It would be
if I was doing
it would
that.
be like Thanos, man. It would just be a blip.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Because you'd just be like, oh, that's an interesting challenge. That's a long haul challenge right there.
It's what I'm signing up for.
Oh shit.
Cosman says, Lamb of God did that sick video. I was like, where is the new CD? It dropped, and I had no idea until 6 months later it was out.
Oh yeah,
Guess
so
I miss that issue of Hit Parader.
oh man, when that was a Relevant magazine.
I think they're still going. I think
Are
there
they?
I think people.
Are they
Some
still
people are still
cool?
into magazines. Yeah. But it seems like a lot of the bigger artists are definitely on that tip as well.
Lamb of God is cool too, because they they did the video thing for a bunch of their singles, but they also did this cool thing where after the album dropped, especially, they did these live, and I know what's going on in the world, the reason why, but they did these live videos where they all kind of did a live set, individually, but at the same time, for like most of the songs on the album. So it was another piece of content that they did for most of the songs. And it's like cool because they were sort of playing it live, and you get to see them play, and it's like there's no. Yeah, how many times am I do I need to hear this one song? But like, you can still do different things to keep people like, oh, I like this. This is cool. Like, Architects also Their biggest single before the album came out, they did it with the symphony in Abbey Road, and it's
Wow.
sick. So,
Yeah.
like, there's creative things you can do, you know, and you don't need to have a symphony, but you can do an alternate mix of your song. You can, I know that's kind of off topic a little bit, but
I like
just,
the idea of looking at whatever the trend might be, or whatever the sort of the commercial artists are doing,
yeah.
and looking at it and using it as motivation to do something else, but sort of in a similar way, like
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
to make an event out of it.
yeah, exactly. It's exactly like
Yeah.
we talked earlier in regards to mixing on the more or less type of thing. Like, you have like there's some staple things you should do if you're going to release music. But so do those, but also what else can you do? You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's shit tons of examples.
I like to say, what is the opposite? That's my big thing. I try
Also
to
look at other
everything.
genres too. Look what other genres do. It's very you can learn a lot.
It's a good idea to not listen to the genre that you reside in. I try not to.
Yeah. Oh, just watch Finn McKinney's channel and you can McKinney, like the punk rock MBA, like he's a perfect example of like, you know, there's elitists in every subset of whatever genre. If you're in hip hop, there's elitists there that think you should do it this way, and it's like, no, man, there's no metal's notorious for that. Notorious for it. Punk, notorious for it. Like, who gives a shit, man? Get your music out there by any means necessary.
Be creative and get it out.
Yeah.
And you know, and connect with people. Baritone Cult says for him, YouTube, he's trying to do only a few vids a month, and number one is music right now. Better for my mind. And
I don't think there's anything wrong with 2 videos a month.
Yeah,
not at all, man.
For those of you who are not familiar, Baritone Cult is a YouTube channel, and for a while there, he was going super hard on videos and doing a video a week since the day of launch, and kind of ran himself ragged.
Yeah,
and definitely,
which you're gonna do.
Yeah,
at that clip.
Really hard to do weekly content on YouTube, unless it's not about very much. There's ways, but something has to give. But yeah, the being able to do music as well is really important, especially when your YouTube channel is about music. This is the problem that you and I always run into, Nick. Start doing the channel too much and you're like, I'm doing this channel because of music. I need to focus on music.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's so much that goes into music. Whenever I do a video about a comparison, like the last video I put up was like a guitar thing, and it was a couple different years of the same guitars.
The Mashocks.
Mike Mashock. And it was a pretty minimal comparison video, but by the time I got all the music sorted for it, number one, I started with other music and it wasn't working out. So I switched the music after having done it all. Because I'm like,
you had to reshoot 3/4 of your video.
No, only at that point I was only at the recording. I was only actually recording them all. I'm like, this is not working. This guitar is terrible for G. And I'm like, I got to do something in higher tuning. And I'm like, Vens is in A, so I'll do some Vens stuff.
Yeah.
So I did all that over again, and recorded it all. Had to learn it because I'm like, I only play this once a year. Recorded it all, whatever. But yeah, working on music for videos suddenly adds this whole layer to everything, and music takes a lot, especially to do it well. You know, if you want to do recording and say you're doing everything yourself, it requires a sort of meticulous kind of slow pace, even at the best of times.
Yeah, it's yes to all of that.
Yeah, rushing through it. There's no, like, if you rush through it, it sounds like you rushed through it.
You know, it's funny because when I do end up doing like a tone video, or like I said, I just did a video for Cream City here, Cream City Music, that will be up soon on their channel. Like, I'll get lucky and write some music that's like perfect for the guitar and like the vibe, and then I'm like, okay, shit, that was cool, that worked out, but it doesn't always work out that way, you know. And
Yeah.
then I'm like scrambling, like, can I use some of my own stuff? Like, I need to. It's just it can be a stressor when
Yeah.
you're like, I gotta write music for it, because and we've talked about this, like you and I have at least, like I feel like I need to write some new music for videos. You know, I've gone away from that.
All the time.
Yeah,
And I
and I
always
was like,
feel compelled.
yeah, it's like I needed. This needs to be new and fresh. Like, I can't recycle shit. But you made a good point. It's like, no, man, harken back to your catalog. You know, if you
Yeah.
can't write something new and original,
Yeah.
like, I try, and if I and then it gets to a point now where it's like, all right, I've gone this far and it's nothing, it's not working, I'll do a callback to some old piece of music. But yeah, it's an added layer. Like, I'm gonna, oh by the way, I have to write music and then do the video for
I have
this
to
new
write music, record and produce it,
right.
and then do the video layer to it, synchronize it all, edit it all, all do
Yeah,
it.
and like you said, even like, this is getting into the nitty gritty, but even like a simple comparison video like that, that's a lot of
Oh,
footage. That's a lot of
comparisons.
syncing.
I
That's a
don't think
lot
I'll
of,
ever do another one. Well, I should never say never, but yeah.
well, yeah,
Comparison
it'll
videos, I
probably be a
don't want
while
to do.
before you do one. I get it. I get it. It's hard. I mean,
I say it every time too.
what's the last comparison video I did? I don't even remember. It was maybe amps inside the heavy amps inside of the Helix, but like,
You did also a Titan comparison. It was a mild comparison,
yeah,
but like it
that
was
one.
still a
It
comparison.
took an eternity to make that video.
Yeah.
And the string comparison video was,
Oh yeah. My string comparison with 7 brands.
yeah, I did too. Yeah. So what we're
Took
getting
forever.
what we're getting at, to try and bring it back to what the hell we're talking about, is I don't know. What was
I
the
just like there are a lot of layers to doing it all, and
Yeah.
choosing the thing that is maybe most in line with what your goals are is a
Plus
good
this.
idea.
plus this comment? And he's right.
Yeah.
Like, Baritone Cult has his own layer of stuff that he's doing, real world type
Yeah.
stuff.
He's
Not
a
that
businessman.
yeah,
He
he's
owns
a
a
businessman.
business. He has a family and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
And you know, you have a life, and you
Yep.
know, it's like, and I mean, I have
You have
obviously
many layers.
I obviously have a life, showing up 10 minutes late to this podcast.
Yeah. Electric Meat Puppet, how are you? He says
buddy.
hello to everyone. I wrote some serious knuckle dragging riffs.
I do
this
have hairy
month.
knuckles.
And yeah, same. I like my hairy knuckles. I would
Yeah,
never shave
makes
them.
me feel like a Neanderthal.
Makes me feel like I'm a man.
I'm in touch. I'm in touch with my ancestors.
I'm a man. Sean Heath says the Bunn, I bet partnering with somebody could propel your release time forward. And I think what you're talking about, Sean, is here we go. Working with somebody you're on a wavelength with really helps with productivity, I find. And yes, so there's a lot to talk about there.
That's a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it needs to synchronize. I definitely know that with a sort of team type scenario, for me, what I'm doing currently, in order for it to work, it would have to be somebody that I work with in real time, having like a digital type of assistant where it would be over the internet. Introduces another layer of complication that
It does.
makes everything very slower again. And there's more checks and balances that are required to get things done to a reasonable level. I'm not going to say a high level. It's not always a high level.
I think you and I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
Hijack your
get in
answer.
there.
The
No,
thing,
no,
the
it's a
thing that,
conversation.
so about this is like music. That's a different thing, because You write in a specific way. I write in a specific way. For those of you that don't know, Bunn and I have tried a couple times to collab on music, but we write in different ways.
Well, we just
And
have to design a system that favors our thing.
yeah, yeah, but
You know,
you're right. But there's also a time commitment to getting that fleshed out,
sorted out. Right.
and neither of us want to take away from what you know what I mean. Like
We're
it's gonna
already
happen
doing.
at some point.
Yeah.
There will be a lull enough where we can actually put this together.
I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going to get on a flying COVID tube, and I'm
Yeah.
going to go to that Milwaukee.
Yep.
I'm going
And
to
you're-
go like, I'm living in your
Absolutely.
basement, Nick Hill. What's up with this track?
That's what we're gonna do. But what I was gonna say is what what you and I would benefit from the most, as far as like a collaborative relationship, is knocking video content out.
Oh,
You
for
know,
sure. That would be
Like
amazing.
if we had the other person, and I guess the same could go for really anybody that was capable behind the camera. But like,
I feel like the capacity, like the level that we would be able to reach for, would be quite a bit higher.
Yeah.
and still do more work, like
Eh,
more quantity, but
100%.
also be
Yep.
able to reach a lot higher.
yes. So like, I can't wait for the day where the week or two where we get to do that, because I
Yeah.
think that will be the most like it would be the most return on the least amount of like flexing, as far as like, you know, the music thing is going to take some setup, some work, some
Yeah.
give and take. The video stuff, like I know how you want shit to look, you know how I want shit to look. Like it would be
And we know
fucking-
how to work at it,
yes,
that we would be able to
it would be
very
so
quickly
seamless.
work together. Yeah. Yeah. For all of you out there, if you're thinking about collaborating, teaming up with folks, what Sean says here about being on a wavelength, yeah, that's important. Identify where that wavelength is
Yep.
in the relationship, whether it's on the creativity, on the work ethic. Preferably, there's a shared space between all of those things.
Right.
But yeah, in terms of a team of any kind, even if it's a team of two, take very seriously take very seriously the time to analyze. It's like, okay, what works? Where are the strengths? Where are the sort of downsides? Address them. Be upfront and open about all of that stuff, so that you can flesh it out.
Yeah. You and
'Cause
I
if you do,
have. Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
To your point, like at this point, we have almost 2 years of rapport built up. You know, like
yeah,
like
I
it's
feel like
not
we
a
have.
yeah, it's not a thing to
Yeah,
like to
we-
yeah.
we
There would
can
be no
talk.
doubt
Yeah.
that the that the other person would be contributing. That we'd be 90% on the same wavelength. Yeah. So you want to find the yes, to Sean's point. Yes, of course. But really like make sure that you're on that level with the person.
Yeah.
This is a good Sonic Drive Studios, one song, 33 amps is possibly one of the craziest videos I've ever seen. Dude is a freaking beast. Yeah, John is dope. John has done that multiple times.
Yeah.
I mean-
surprised at the speed at which he gets it done.
He
I don't understand, because like you and I, we talked to him, or
yeah.
you know, haven't kept up with him recently, but like when he was doing that video, you know, we were talking almost daily,
Yeah.
or at least weekly.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he did it inside of a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That
He
would take me
like-
so long.
Like he has his system, you know. And yes, John's a great player and his channel is dope. I learned a lot from him really early on. Not that I don't learn from him now, but what I'm getting at is like he's got some real informative shit that I learned from like at the beginning of my channel. So John's great, man.
What was interesting for me about John is after we became kind of acquainted, going back and seeing videos that I had seen years previous
Yeah.
before knowing him, I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, that's that video. That's
Yeah.
John.
Yeah, exactly.
That I've already watched like 3 or 4 times, you know? So wild.
Yeah, John's great. His channel's great. Sonic Drive Studios, if you guys have not heard of him. He is a gear hoarder.
Yeah, gear monster. Unbelievable.
He has a passion for gear, and
That
I love it.
that what is it? That Denmark or Netherlands?
Yeah.
What do you call it? Netherlands.
That exchange rate must be.
Yeah, not cost of living, but just like wealth in society. Like it's a pretty wealthy society
Mm-hmm.
coming in there.
Yeah. Isn't that like the happiest place to live? Or don't the
Netherlands.
is it
I thought
or is it
Canada was the happiest
Denmark?
place to live.
I don't know if that's the case.
No, this is what I've heard. Like,
Really?
yeah, there was a thing recently that was circulating. Like, not that I don't have a preference. I don't, I just happen to be from Canada. I don't really know much about Canada for the last 20 years.
Right.
This is the last time that I went sea to shining sea. But anyhow, more or less or more. That's today's topic. And in terms of, I guess signing off, capping off on more or less. First thing we talked about was production. More or less layers, more or less production, and it's all on the table. It depends what your project needs. It depends what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
It depends what you're capable of reaching for. Maybe you're not capable of doing it. Maybe you're capable of reaching for it, and it's worthy of the pursuit purely for the development. So all is on the table.
Yeah.
Less is more, less or more or less in terms of putting out music, putting out videos. Once again, it's all on the table. I think really closely looking at what your goals are and what your personal abilities are. Not only abilities, like maybe you can write killer songs. Well, how many of them can you write in a month, year period? And, just taking a look at it all from a more holistic, healthy point of view rather than the just do it. Just do it is important, but not if it makes you sick.
Right. Right.
Just do it is good to come out of the gate. If you're having reservations or fears, just do it is like, okay, just go.
Yeah, you want to get some like traction,
Yeah.
some momentum,
But
some reps under your belt, and then you can be a little more selective.
those reps.
Those reps.
Oh, look at
Gotta
this.
put
Look at
in
this.
those
Look at-
reps.
Look at that.
Lots of reps. Lots of reps, lightweight.
Huge.
That's why you're so toned.
My sticks.
A little bit where I'm a meathead. Lacking tone, but I got that girth.
You got the girth. All I got is sticks. The kid from the sticks who is still sticks.
You're lean. You're lean.
Lean. I like it.
Yeah.
Keep describing me.
Never ask me in that tone of voice again.
Yeah. Keep describing.
Keep describing me, please. Well,
Baritone Cult says Netherlands 200 square foot place is 800 euros a month in the city. That sounds pretty good.
well, I mean, it's a very American thing to have sprawling, giant places.
Right.
A lot of places around the world live in a little more compact.
Yeah.
I mean,
This
stuff's smaller in Canada too, isn't it?
That's the prices here. But
Yeah.
like here, if for like a junior one bedroom, it's about $2,000 a month.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's pretty, I guess, a wealthy country though, for the most part. Like people make a lot of money. Not the Bunn.
We got to put out more singles.
I got to put out more singles. I
Yep.
just got one coming on Monday or Friday. Friday. Yeah, I guess New York City is the same, right?
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, New York City would have to be the same. I've seen like some of those like YouTube videos. What $2,000 gets you in New York City for an apartment or whatever, or $5,000
much.
or something like that. Yeah, it's tiny.
Yeah. I mean, just when I tell people what my mortgage is for our duplex here that we bought, like, versus what people are paying for a 2-bedroom apartment, like in California, is like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
It
like,
makes
yeah.
sense to
like,
live in
yeah.
Milwaukee.
Like, that's an upside.
Yeah, yeah. More or less. Did I have another one? I didn't write them down.
That's all right. We covered a lot.
We covered a lot. What time is it? 9:38. It can be just a regular, good old conversation.
Yeah.
If we like. Did it take? Did my thumbnail take? Yes, it did. Great. I set up the stream because it wasn't working. I just went live and I told everyone in the stream that was already going, I'm like, changing streams. And then I set up a new, launched it,
Nice.
set up the stream
We'll figure that out.
while it was happening. I don't know why I could not find the thing. Or like,
It's okay.
whatever. Maybe it's because I was rushing. I was down to the wire.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you're getting a little bun flustered.
Bunn flustered. Reed Angle. Is people are paying in the Bay Area. People are paying more than $1,000 for a walk-in closet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to step out into human feces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad out
California's a mess.
there. California's might not ever come back. And there's more people. Yeah. Electric meat puppet. There's more people in California than our whole country, which is Australia. Or yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's probably more people in Wisconsin than there is in your country.
Yeah. But for some reason, like Australia exports incredible amount of talent and
Yeah.
and innovation and products and all that kind of stuff. Rode microphones, Blackmagic cameras, and more. It's wild.
We just got a Blackmagic camera at work. A new
You
6K
got the
Pro.
6K Pro?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to.
That's what we're playing with today.
Gen 5.
Getting it all set up. Yep, I updated it and everything.
Nice.
Pretty dope. Don't like the form factor, but
So
pretty
yeah.
dope.
Anyway.
It's weird in the hands. Yeah, that's a whole tangent.
Talking about cameras.
Sorry. Oh man.
In terms of more or less, I think the last thing I would like to touch on here, unfortunately, Nick Hill, well, maybe like your past experience is going to come into play here, but it's about gigs, playing out
Oh
live.
yeah.
Obviously, in COVID times, gigs are weird. There
They'll
are
come-
still gigs in
they'll
the
come back.
Midwest.
They'll
In the
come back.
Midwest, there are a couple states that are,
Yep.
have been having gigs the whole time.
Yep.
But in terms of generally speaking, gigs are not much of a thing at the moment, but in the time of gigs. So something that I ran into when I was gigging a lot was there was a popular opinion on a local level of both bands and promoters that you shouldn't gig very often locally. Locally being within a 30-minute
Yeah.
radius of your home.
That's still a thing.
And my attitude towards it always was, F that, I'm gigging. I play
Yeah.
music. If I can grab a gig, I'm playing the gig. And what was interesting about it, I did that for about a year straight. And that band grew significantly. That band became a pretty big band in that time. And it totally worked. I'm like, we'll just play any gig.
Yeah.
We don't care what the price is, what the pay is. We don't care what the
You're gonna get a new set of eyes at each gig.
yeah. And we'd play gigs where we'd play for 2 people, and we'd play gigs where we'd play for 500 people.
It's grassroots, man. I
Yeah.
like that approach. I mean, I'm not in a band right now, but I work with bands and have friends in bands, and like that thing of like, yeah, we can't play too soon, or we can't, we played this
If
spot in Milwaukee 2 weeks ago, so like it's a lot of coordinating just for the sake of coordinating. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you can't play too soon, or we can't come back here too soon because nobody will show up. It's like, I mean, who gives a shit?
when you have less than 500 fans on a local level, like let's say you live in a major center, or not a major center, but a city, like what's the
Mm-hmm.
population of Wisconsin? It's like, or Milwaukee. It's
I'd have to
probably
look.
like
It's been a while.
500,000.
It's been a while since I looked. So it's 1.4 million.
Oh, it's pretty sizable.
Yeah.
Um, Crazy. It's so weird because I think Toronto is like the third or fourth largest city in the world, and it's only like 3 million or 4 million, which is not a huge difference from
It's
Wisconsin
pretty
or
bonkers, man.
Milwaukee.
Yeah. And that's just Milwaukee proper, I bet.
Or
I don't know
sorry,
if
not
that's
in the world. The third or fourth largest city in North America, including Mexico.
Oh,
It goes
yeah, so
New
that's just the
York, Mexico City, and then Toronto.
that's just the metropolitan metro area. That's not including the suburbs, So,
Right. Metropolitan Milwaukee.
mm-hmm.
Crazy. Yeah, there's plenty of people there. So yeah, technically, if you're a band playing in Milwaukee, I don't think you have anything to worry about until there's consistently like 3 to 500 people showing up to your gigs. Then it's like, okay, we don't want to wear out this audience.
Right.
If we want
Right.
it to keep growing, we need to kind of, uh, moderate that frequency a little bit more.
Yep.
But like I've known so many people where they have like maybe 10 hardcore fans, and they're worried about playing out live because people won't come to see them. They're 10 friends. I'm
Yeah.
like, you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
Play out live. Try and find some new fans.
Well, plus there's more to it too. It's like we talked about reps. It's like it's not going to hurt to play live
the
as a
more you
band.
play live, yeah, you become a
tighter you get.
machine.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Would you say in
Yes.
your experience of playing live that there's nothing like playing live in terms of the kind of good you get playing live a lot versus
Yep.
the kind of good you get playing by yourself in a room is very different kind of good.
Absolutely. It's almost incomparable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
play differently. The energy's different. You have to learn to play with that energy.
Yeah.
Because that's I mean, adrenaline is a fucker, So you got to learn to play with it. You want to be entertaining to some degree. There's a lot there's a lot to do when you're playing live.
Stuff going into it.
Yeah. So I it's just like a comedian, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah.
At least that's the hope.
Yeah.
Or you realize you're not cut out for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
There is that might be like an episode unto itself. Like maybe it's not for you.
Harsh truths.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like, and
Yeah.
how do I know, right? That's something that I think about a lot. I'm like, I think, certain aspects of what I got going on are, work well enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely contemplate frequently, like, am I fooling myself with this, with that, the other thing? Like, it's something that's always on my mind. Am I at any point, am I fooling myself? Is this just something I want? And
Yeah, I think about that. Pops into my head.
yeah,
And it's not even a negative thing. It's like
I think it's
how
healthy.
realistic is this?
Yeah.
But it's like a grounded thing. And then you're like, nah, yeah, this is it. This is really it, So I think it's good to ask that.
Yeah.
In a in the right context, you know?
Yeah.
Because I have literally had that thought, and again, not in a woe is me, not in a I've been in a slump kind of way, but like, well, is this what I think it is? And it
Yeah.
ended up with,
Am I
yeah,
deluding myself?
yeah,
Yeah. I think about it all the time. I think it's a healthy consideration. It's interesting. I think I've met people, I'm not exactly sure, but I think I've met people who maybe don't have that quality whatsoever. And same as what you're saying, like, I'm not coming at it from the woe is me or like, I'm no good, like, kind of,
it's like, hey, reality check, man,
just like, yeah,
gut
am
check.
I, yeah, am
Are
am
are we
I,
still into this?
yeah.
And then you're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've had to think about that, just because like when when I get consumed by, it doesn't happen a ton, I'm in a lucky privileged position where I get to work from home, and I don't run into these situations, but work has needed me, um and other things. So like there hasn't been a huge, there's been a dip in the consistency with the channel. Then I'm like, that's when I'm like, how important is it? You know, how important is it, dude? And then I'm still like, it's what I want to be doing, music and helping with video. So
In order for it to work well, you have to work well.
yeah, you're very good at those mantras.
You have to be well
Yeah.
in order to work well. Whatchamacallit, my guy here, Electric Meat Puppet, says we have to travel some pretty long distances to play shows here, but if you don't have a strong hometown game, you're toast as far as reps go.
Yep.
Rah!
Yep.
And yeah, I will agree that, once again, as with everything we're talking about here this evening, we're not saying it's not about the right thing or the wrong thing. It's about what is the right thing for you and the project that you have and the crowd that you have or you're trying to do, all that kind of stuff. But we are looking at the popular opinions towards things and trying to kind of dismantle the popular opinion. Be like, well, okay, the popular opinion is you shouldn't play out live too much in your hometown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's the opposite of that? And what's the reality of the opposite of that? You shouldn't put too many tracks down in the old DAW there.
Yeah, you're gonna muddy it up.
You're
Like,
gonna muddy it up. Well, what
yeah.
happens if you do? And the other part about all of it is maybe you don't even care.
Right. There's definitely, that's part of it.
Maybe you're just having fun. So, all things to consider. Like something my biggest interest in doing this whole band list thing is to talk about, like where is the focus? Where is the perspective? Are we delusional? Are we being delusional? Are we giving ourselves these like sort of reality checks? Are we, looking at things positively, like looking at being realistic in a positive way rather
Yeah.
than being realistic in a self-deprecating, like, am I any good? I'm terrible.
So, so I just read this book called The Four Agreements.
Yeah.
And there's a fifth agreement.
Oh.
And the fifth agreement is be skeptical, but don't be cynical.
Ooh, okay, good one. I like it.
So like,
Those qualities are often confused.
yes, overwhelmingly right now.
Yeah.
And the reason why I brought it up is because it's like, take a look. We're not just questioning the, like I said about mixing or the album process, the rotation, the album cycle. We're not just we're not going into it with a level of cynicism,
Yeah.
It's like, poke at it. Like, there's obviously a cycle, an album cycle, and it's still a thing to this day. And like, it was established by record companies in the record industry, the music industry, which is sort of like a very splintered and fractured thing now, of what's left of it. But we still have the cycle. And what we're trying to say is like, well, question it. Question the cycle. That's what we're
Yeah.
saying. It's like, be
And
skeptical of it, but don't just say like, it doesn't fucking work. This is the way it has to be now. That's cynical. That's the cynicism, you know?
yeah,
And the same can be applied to what we're talking about, mixing. And if you think about that with anything, really, it's like,
yeah,
poke at it, question it, but don't just write it off.
yeah. I try to do that poke, like
Mm-hmm.
poke at it, like poke it with a stick. Is it still alive? Check it out. Look at look at all the parts and be like, oh, what's the interesting parts for me? And what am I excited about in this process or in this this bag of parts?
Yeah.
And yeah, I it's interesting. I think because the majority of Westerners are coming from this perspective of the industrial model, where
Mm-hmm.
most of us were put through a school and kind of groomed within a society in order to be a contributor to the industrial machine to make better parts and widgets
Mm-hmm.
for the consumption of whatever, like it was
Mm-hmm.
all very kind of designed to serve the system.
Mm-hmm.
And we live in a little bit of a different world now. That stuff still exists, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but because most of us come from that, um, I think a lot of times we're looking for that diametric opposition of the right thing and the wrong thing, the
Yeah.
productive and the non-productive, the
Mm-hmm.
successful and the unsuccessful, and all of these sorts of things. And what's interesting is within the arts and also the business of arts or the mechanics of arts in a social context, it is a very dynamic thing. And it is typically specific to the individual who is creating, as well as the individuals, the groups of individuals
Yeah.
who are observing. What's interesting about fans is we tend to look at fans as like kind of lobbed together, but most fans don't know each other,
Right.
and they're very different from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring up on the show a lot, we can't choose our fans. Our fans choose us,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't get to choose anything about them. Uh, and it's always interesting. Is there anything interesting? This is off topic, but anything interesting that you've discovered in, the quality or nature or something like that in terms of people who have shown an interest in what you do? You're like, oh, interesting. Like I didn't think people would be, this kind of person would be interested in what I do.
Um, people in general, really. You know, it's still, I say that sort of tongue in cheek, but also it's still like the fact that anybody, um, like shows, there's some people that are like into everything I do and musically, and it's like, it's weird. It's weird. I mean it in a
Yeah,
good way. I mean,
yeah,
it's
for
just
sure,
like,
for sure.
like, because I don't, you guys know how I am. Like, I know what I'm capable of doing, and I know I'm not shit, but also like people have me on their playlists. Like, I can see when my songs are put on playlists, it's like a lot of people listen to that playlist. It's weird.
Yeah, amazing.
It's weird. But no, I don't. Maybe because I'm still a little bit separated from them. Maybe if I ever get to play in front of people, I'll get to learn a little bit more about what my type of fan is, But um, it's cool. Like, I'm 40. There's guys a lot younger than me that are into my music. I can see my demographics on everything.
Right.
And there's also guys older than me that are into my music. It's I think that's cool in itself. So nothing overwhelmingly surprising.
Right.
Like mostly dudes, of course,
Right.
slash all dudes.
Yeah.
But
Mostly
that's okay.
dudes, aka completely dudes.
Mostly dudes. Yep. Meaning nothing
Yeah.
but dudes.
Yeah.
But that's cool, man. It's
I have a 2% female audience.
get 2% or 0.2. You have
2%.
a 2%?
2%
Yeah,
female
that's
audience.
because you're a handsome son of a bitch.
Well, I attribute it to the choral use of color in most of my artwork.
Yeah.
I use pretty colors because I
That's
like them.
yeah. There might be something to that. That's interesting. Yeah.
I don't know.
You use a lot of salmon.
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 And Baritone Carl is into your dark hair.
Yeah. I know you guys don't see my hair very often. It's
And
kind of long. I still got my male pattern baldness up here. This is why I'm growing my hair out so that I can
handsome
cover
male handsome baldness.
maybe.
Yeah.
I probably need some
Just own it.
testosterone therapy. That's okay.
Or maybe not.
I
Look at
don't
Devin
know.
Townsend. Did
That's
you
true.
follow Devin Townsend when
He had his skullet? Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
he was just like loud and
shocking.
proud. I think people loved him more for it.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's always been somebody who, I mean, once you learn more about the man, he does care, but he like just didn't give a shit about that stuff. Like I don't give a shit about what my hair looks like and what people are gonna think. You know, it was just he's so him. I've met him several times at NAMM, and
Yeah.
he remembered us the last couple times. Me and my buddy Lenny have gone for several years. He's just such a sweet. He's like, you know how I say like I'm still surprised people are into my music. You get that vibe from him. He's just so like,
Right.
he looks at you. He shakes your hand with two hands. It's like, thank you so much for listening to my stuff all these years. Like it's, I mean, he's fucking Canadian, so
Right.
you guys are too nice for your own good.
He's
Yeah.
from Canada.
He's from Canada.
Holy jeez. Cosman says, riding on, that's not, it moved. That's not the one I was going to click on. Anyway, it's fine. Riding on someone else's boat is fun. Owning your boat, another story. So rent a band to play in.
Yeah.
So,
Buying a boat's the worst investment you could do.
yeah.
And-
I actually, my last project, Foreigns, played live with friends who were gracious enough to help me play it live. But it was not
Beautiful.
a band.
Beautiful.
And we played quite a bit, and it rose in popularity really quickly. And it wouldn't have been able to, like on a local level, and it wouldn't have been able to had they not helped. And
Right.
I was like, oh, and they obviously, it kind of, they contributed to that to some degree. Oh, Artie's new band. That kind of
Right.
stuff. But, yeah, it's not a terrible thing. What I would have to say about the negative side is we were all like, oh yeah, like we know how to rehearse at home. So everyone rehearsed at home, and then we'd just have like one rehearsal before a show. And while we got through the shows and they were good enough, there was never a sense of that just freedom and comfort in playing and like presentation. It was always like, a lot of fret staring or maybe fret peeking, like kind of looking out the corner.
Yeah.
But it was
Oh, I remember
pretty
that.
rigid in
Yeah.
terms of the delivery in order to play the material well, because there was no sort of inbuilt momentum of not rehearsing, but playing live, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't have to start a band to play out live. You can recruit some friends or pay some people, pay some jazzers,
Or buy a laptop.
buy a laptop. Yeah. Play the backing tracks. Theo and I kind of want to play, like we've been wanting to do this forever, is just play our Venn stuff out to a laptop. Just him on a mic, me on a guitar,
Why not?
everything coming off the laptop,
Why not?
not care. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do it.
It'd be
You know,
better than not playing the music.
And there's like, what is the creative opportunity in doing that in an absurd or crazy, wild way?
Yeah.
Like I was thinking, roll into venues that they always have a PA.
Yeah.
But roll in with your own PA, and it's no amps. It's just laptop PA. Guitar goes through, playing through Sims.
Yeah.
you know, even the mic goes through playing through Sims.
Yeah, you
'cause
could
everything's
play it
fast
up
enough
into
now.
the
And bring your own PA, but it's a massive PA.
yeah.
And just friggin' level. Like, you know, use a Behringer X what is it? Uh, X88 or whatever.
I don't know.
The Behringer remote
Oh yeah.
digital mixers. And like a crazy PA and just level every show
You
just
should
with
do it.
pure power.
I love it. Let's wrap this up. I'm hungry.
Yeah, I got to go to the bathroom. So this is yet another band list. Thank you to everyone for hanging out.
I liked this topic. This is good.
Yeah, getting inside of some of these things.
Yeah.
You know, what is the thing that you should do? Hopefully, some of these ideas help to inspire your own movement and also your own sort of confidence. It's like, I can do this. Friggin' right, you can.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And whatchamacallit, last comment, Cosman saw my New Year's
Yeah.
photo and thought that I was trying to sell him a Lincoln. Well, I'm still trying to sell you a Lincoln, Cosman.
What can we do to get you to a Lincoln today?
This car really suits your lifestyle. All right.
Love it.
But graphics, bam. I'd like to thank the fine folks with us over at Patreon. If you're interested in helping this show continue, go along. You know, we have a link in the show notes to our Patreon thing. It says $7. That's Canadian, $5 American. And you can cancel at any time, and all is good. Anything, any parting words?
Big shout out to you guys over on Patreon. I really appreciate it. You guys are covering like the cost to put the show together, so that's fucking a bonus, man. And it means a lot to us.
Yeah.
Just makes it easier. We would do it without it, but you know, the support makes it easier. Straight up.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. Means a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry I was late. But other than that, yeah, this was a good topic. I liked it.
Chicago traffic. Yeah, it's a fun one. Cool.
Yeah, that fucking traffic. Yeah.
All right, gang. Have a fantastic night.
Good hangs,
I will-
everybody. Have a good week.
See y'all on Friday on the Bunn stream, the once a month Bunn stream.
Yes.
Whoa.
Excited.
Such excite. Wow.